What if malware didn't need to defeat your antivirus because it could simply hide from it? Think about that for a moment. Most people assume that if antivirus software can't find malware, then the system must be clean. But what if the malware is specifically designed to make sure it never appears in scans, process lists, or system reports in the first place? That's exactly what makes rootkits so dangerous. Welcome to BlueHat Cybersec Academy. In this entry of the Malware Encyclopedia, we're going to explore how rootkits achieve stealth, how hooking techniques work, how they hide processes, files, and registry entries, how they maintain persistence, and why they're notoriously difficult to detect. Let's start with the fundamental question: what exactly is a rootkit? A rootkit is a collection of malicious tools or code designed to hide the presence of malware, attackers, or unauthorized activity on a system. Think of it this way: most malware is a burglar breaking into a house. A rootkit is the burglar who also disables the cameras, erases the footage, and removes every sign of the break-in. The goal isn't just compromise. The goal is concealment. And that brings us to one of the most important concepts in understanding rootkits: trust. Security tools usually learn what's happening on a system by asking the operating system questions. Which processes are running? What files exist? What registry entries are present? But what happens if the operating system itself has been manipulated? That's the rootkit's advantage. Instead of attacking security software directly, rootkits often tamper with the information security software relies on. In other words, the security software may be asking all the right questions, but the system may no longer be giving truthful answers. Now let's discuss how rootkits manipulate visibility. One of the most common ways rootkits accomplish this is through a technique known as API hooking. Applications communicate with the operating system through APIs, or application programming interfaces. Whenever Task Manager wants to see running processes, File Explorer wants to display files, or security software wants to inspect activity, they're typically interacting with the operating system through these APIs. A rootkit can intercept those API calls and alter the results before they reach the application. For example, imagine a malicious process called stealth.exe is running on the system. When Task Manager asks Windows for a list of running processes, the rootkit intercepts the request. It simply removes stealth.exe from the results and then passes the modified list back to Task Manager. The process continues running. The malware remains active. Task Manager just doesn't know it exists. That's API hooking in its simplest form. But sophisticated rootkits often go much deeper than that. Instead of operating at the application level, they move into the operating system kernel itself. The kernel is the core component responsible for managing memory, scheduling processes, communicating with hardware, enforcing security controls, and handling many of the operating system's most critical functions. By modifying kernel behavior, attackers gain control over how the operating system reports information. A user-level rootkit can hide from applications. A kernel-level rootkit can potentially hide from the applications and the security tools inspecting the system. That's what makes kernel rootkits especially dangerous. Now, one of the first things investigators look at when searching for malware is the process list. Naturally, rootkits often focus on hiding processes. By manipulating process information, malicious programs may not appear in Task Manager, system monitoring tools, or even some security scans. The malware remains active. But from the investigator's perspective, it appears as though the process doesn't exist at all. Rootkits apply the exact same philosophy to files. Imagine opening a folder that actually contains 3 files: report.docx, image.jpg, and malware.dll. The rootkit intercepts the directory listing and removes malware.dll from the results before they are displayed. What you see are only the first 2 files. The malicious file still exists. It's still on the disk. It's simply hidden from view. And the same concept extends to the Windows registry. Malware often uses the registry for storing settings, configuring persistence, and maintaining operational data. A rootkit can intercept registry queries and remove specific entries from the results, making malicious settings invisible to administrators and investigators. So even when someone actively searches for suspicious entries, they may never see what's actually there. Of course, stealth alone isn't enough. If the malware disappears every time the computer reboots, its usefulness to an attacker is limited. That's where persistence comes in. Persistence refers to the techniques malware uses to survive restarts and remain active over long periods of time. Rootkits commonly achieve persistence through mechanisms such as registry run keys, scheduled tasks, system services, and malicious drivers. More advanced threats may go even further by infecting the boot process or modifying UEFI firmware. In those situations, the malware can load before the operating system itself starts. At that point, the rootkit isn't just surviving reboots, it's becoming part of the startup chain itself. Now this raises an obvious question. If rootkits are so dangerous, why doesn't antivirus simply detect them? The answer comes back to visibility. Most security products rely on information provided by the operating system. If that information has been altered, detection becomes significantly more difficult. A rootkit may hide processes. It may hide files. It may hide registry entries. It may conceal network activity. And advanced rootkits can even interfere with security software directly by disabling protections or suppressing alerts. In short, defenders may be investigating a system using information the attacker has already filtered. That's a difficult situation for any security product. Fortunately, modern defenses have evolved in response. Rather than relying entirely on traditional signature scanning, many security solutions now use behavioral analysis to identify suspicious actions even when malware attempts to hide. They may also use kernel integrity checks to detect unauthorized modifications, secure boot to help prevent malicious code from loading during startup, memory forensics to uncover hidden activity, and offline scanning techniques that allow investigators to examine systems outside the rootkit's control. These approaches don't make rootkits impossible to create, but they do make them significantly harder to hide. And that brings us to the key takeaway. Rootkits are among the most dangerous forms of malware because they attack something security professionals often take for granted: visibility. Through API hooking, kernel hooking, process hiding, file hiding, registry manipulation, and persistence mechanisms, rootkits make compromised systems appear clean while malicious activity continues behind the scenes. The key lesson is simple. In cybersecurity, seeing nothing unusual doesn't always mean nothing is wrong. Sometimes the greatest threat isn't the malware you can find. It's the malware that has learned how to stay hidden. Now here's a challenge for you. Out of everything we've discussed, which rootkit technique do you think makes detection the most difficult? Is it API hooking, kernel hooking, process hiding, file hiding, registry hiding, or persistence mechanisms? And more importantly, why? Drop your answer in the comments, and let's see how you think like a malware analyst. And if you're enjoying the Malware Encyclopedia series and want to continue exploring how different types of malware operate beneath the surface, consider liking the video, sharing it with someone interested in cybersecurity, and subscribing to the channel so you don't miss the next entry in the encyclopedia. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.